Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to hop on here today and give you some words of encouragement. It's been a long time since I've actually done a live. We're trying out something totally different today. We've had a lot of technical difficulties here in the last hour trying to get everything set up, and hopefully everything will work the way it's supposed to work. And if not, we'll make some adjustments, and the next time everything will come out like it's supposed to. We're trying to stream actually to about 6 or 7 different platforms at the same time, and so hopefully the software and everything is working the way it's supposed to work. But as I said, it's been probably a little over a year since I've done a live. A lot has changed since then. I no longer live where I used to live, no longer work where I used to work. God has definitely been good to me within this last year. And I will start to share a little bit about that journey. For those of you who really know me, you know that the place that where I am now is actually a place where I visited over 50 years ago. And it's amazing how God will remind you that you've been here before. Yes, I said 50 years ago. That means that I was about 4 or 5 years old when that actually happened. And to be in that neighborhood where I requested my parents to take me, and my uncle KB at the time was living here in Houston, and I said, "Take me to the Fifth Ward. I want to see it." And I was like 4 or 5, and people were wondering why does she want to see the Fifth Ward? Well, I didn't have a clue until about a year ago. It started to resonate in my mind that you've been here before. And that's kind of what I want to go into tonight, talking about equipped, conditioned, and commissioned. It's something I want to deal with probably over the next couple of weeks, or for however long God tells me I need to talk about this particular thing. I want to just give a overview tonight, and then next week I'll probably go into it more, especially with I don't know how this system is going to work tonight. But I want to say that we have to realize that we are equipped, conditioned, and commissioned to do what it is that God has called us to do. And we are in a season right now where it's so vital, so important that we do what God has called us to do. A lot of times we make excuses for why we don't do things. God picked somebody else. I'm not equipped for this. When in fact, God knew what he was doing. When you tell God that you're not equipped, that you're not capable, some of that is true, because without God, you are not capable of doing anything that he's called you to do, that he's put you on this earth to do, your purpose, your destiny. You have to have God in able to complete those assignments. And and I talked about assignments probably a year ago. Real heavy on that, and I'm still heavy on it now, of understanding your assignment and what God has called you to do. But I want you to understand that he has equipped you for whatever it is that he's called you to do. And you have to remind yourself, you have to step back sometimes, look in the mirror and say, God, this is what you've ordained me to do or called me to do. But you have to remember that he's already equipped you to do what it is that he's called you to do. The problem is, or the issue that we run into a lot of times, is the conditioning part. He's equipped you, he's placed everything in you to do what it is that he's called you to do at a predestined time. And timing is important. Sometimes God has equipped us, or he has equipped us to do something, but then we jump the gun and we want to get ahead and do all of these things when we haven't gone through the conditioning part of it. The process is what we normally call it. You think about a person that's in the military. You don't go from signing up to the battleground. There's a process. It's called boot camp, and it's the same way in the spiritual aspect, that Yes, God has equipped us for this, but we have to go through the process, that conditioning. And if we go through the conditioning, and yes, sometimes it's hard, it's tough, we want to give up in the process, but God is strengthening you, conditioning you in order to commission you when He sends you out. A lot of times we want to go out ahead of time. And what I'm learning, and I've learned in this last year and a half, that God has revealed things to me that were in me that I didn't realize that were in me, that He had equipped me for. Because it seems that in this last year, that as He equips me and I complete assignment, another door opens. And then there's another conditioning process as to say, I'm getting you ready for this next step. And as He prepares and conditions me for that, then another door opens. Every time I complete something, another door opens. Some of us never get past the conditioning. We give up too soon. And if we can't go through the conditioning part of it, the process, the training that He's trying to get us to go through, we won't get to the commission part. But I've found a lot of times, and I've been guilty of it, is that we know at times what God has called us and equipped us to. We don't want to go through the conditioning part. We just want to go out and do whatever it is that He's called us to do or assigned us to do by simply saying, well, God has called me to this. I know it. I'm just going to go ahead and do this and get it done. And then we get out there and we get spiritually what we feel like is spiritual beat down because we went out too soon. We didn't go through the conditioning part of it. And sometimes when God has us going through that process of conditioning, it's tough, it's rough, but it's the best conditioning that you could ever experience. I think about the story with Moses and how the whole journey began. Pharaoh was tripping, had a fit because people put in his ear that you have to do something because these Israelites are multiplying, these Hebrews are multiplying, and they're going to take over. For those of you, if you're in Pharaoh's position, well, don't be Pharaoh in this case. You have to be careful who's talking and who you're listening to because it will cause you to see things in a way that it has nothing to do with what you think it is. But Pharaoh was under the impression that, hey, if I don't do something and control these people, they're going to rise up and take over. And here's the thing about that situation was going on, but God had Moses coming along where He was training him. He had already equipped him. He had already survived the fact that he lived when Pharaoh was saying, kill all the boys. But Moses survived. They placed him in the water in the Nile River, but Moses survived. All of that he's equipped, he's already been called for such a time as this. It was God had already placed in him to be the one to help deliver the people. There are things that are within us that God has already placed us for such a time. And when we don't step up to the plate and do those things, we're like Moses, where we said, no, I can't talk well, I can't do this, or it's because of my background, it's because of my family history. We give God all of these excuses as if He doesn't already know your business. But when you look at that, am I just making excuses because it's lack of self confidence? Or is it the fact that I'm basically telling God, you don't know what you're talking about? I'm not the person. And it's an honor for to be selected, to be chosen by God to complete an assignment. And you think about, and even I have to realize sometimes, because there are things that God gives me I don't want to do. It's hard, it's difficult, it's painful. Even sometimes when I understand the benefit to the other person, I ask God, why do I have to suffer? Why do I have to be the one to go through all of these things? And so, over the next, at least for this month on Thursday nights, I want to look at that part of being equipped, understanding what God has already placed in you, what He's called you to, and understanding His conditioning process is for your good. And when you're equipped with it, you think about not David, and he had some examples too. But when you think about Moses, he was already equipped with it to deliver the people. But when he killed the Egyptian, he was out of sync. He was out of time. Yes, he was going to be the deliverer. And sometimes we're like Moses. It's already in us to complete an assignment, or God is calling us to take care of something, but we jump the gun and we end up killing things, destroying things just like Moses. And now you got to be on the run. But even in his running, when he thought he was in hiding, God was still conditioning him, even in the desert, conditioning him to be the one to go back to lead the people out. See, when God has called you to something, you're either going to do it one way or another. And I would rather be willing, which I'm still working on. Some people I've met, they just like whatever God gives them, they just run to it. And I'm like, you must be getting easy assignments or something. But whatever God has called you to do, I want you to know tonight that He has already equipped you for it. Some of us, He's equipped you and you're still going through the conditioning process because of what He's called you to do, what He's commissioned, and what He's about to send you out to do. You don't want to cut your training short. I want God to show me and strengthen me for everything, every assignment that He has for me, because I don't want to go out weak. I don't want to be given up because I'm wounded. And I'm understanding, and one of the things I'm understanding in this season is, I don't call myself a prophet, but God reveals things to me. God speaks to me in visions, He speaks to me in dreams. And I'm understanding sometimes God will show me something. There are some things that God revealed to me last year that I told some people, hey, we need to do this, 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 because this event is coming in. If we don't do it, we don't get a plan in place to correct these things, it's going to have a negative impact. And sometimes people don't catch on. So, what God is dealing with me in this season is I can give it to you, but you got to have the patience until the other people catch on. How do you deal with God revealing it to us, showing us, equipping us, conditioning us, and now you have to lead the people in the right direction? That's a whole nother level. When He's revealing something to us individually, that's one thing because it's for us. But when it comes to God revealing some things to us and showing us that something is about to happen and you're going to have the responsibility for several people, it takes on a different type of conditioning to be able to lead a whole group of people out, and to be able to explain that thing on different levels, to display it, to work it out, to walk it out, to lead, to empower, to encourage, to motivate people to get to where God is trying to take everybody. God is trying to deliver a lot of people out of Egypt. He's trying to deliver a lot of us out of bondage. But if He's called you to be the leader in this, you've got to be obedient. You have to understand that He's already equipped you with what you need, but you've got to go through the conditioning process. Don't cut your training short. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten into something I thought I wanted, enjoyed it, and then quit. It was like, I don't have time for this. And then later regretted that I quit it. The same thing can happen in ministry. Sometimes we give up too soon because it doesn't look like what we expect it to look like. We lose patience with the people that we're leading. And leadership is not easy. Leadership is not easy on the type of job that I have because I'm leading almost 70 people. You see the vision of the CEO. And as an senior HR director, it's my job to make sure the people are ready to go in the direction that the CEO, her vision. And you've got to make sure everybody is trained, lined up, and ready to go in order to receive or achieve that vision and that purpose. It's the same way in ministry. When you're in a leadership position, you have to understand everybody is not going to get it at the same time. But God has already placed that in you. And now in the conditioning process, you understand not only do I have to complete this assignment, I've got to go through the process. But in the end, if I stay the course, go through the process, God is going to send me out And when he sends me out, lives will be changed, not because of your doing, but because you allow God to work through you. Lives will be changed. People will come out of bondage. People will come out of Egypt. People will come out of slavery. Families will be changed. You could be the person that makes the difference in your family. You may come from a background of a lot of drug abuse, a lot of violence, whatever it is. You could be the change agent in your family. And if that's you, allow God to condition you so that he'll be able to send you out to be the one to save the family. Don't be like Moses and say, it's not me. My question to you today, are you the one? And if you are the one, allow God to use you because he's already equipped you. You're going through your conditioning process. Stay the course and allow God to be able to send you out, to commission you. And when he sends you out, don't worry about those you're saying they won't listen, because he's sending you to a particular group of people. And the people that God is sending you to, or has called you to, has equipped you for, has conditioned you for, they will hear God's voice through you. They will see God at work through you. So equipped, conditioned, and commissioned. Until next week, I hope this has been a blessing to you. Have a good night.